everyone. Welcome to Season 1, Episode 15 of the Film Bros Championship Podcast. I am Tim, and with me is my co-host, Patrick. How you doing, buddy?
Swamp Thing! Ba-da-da-da-da. You make my heart sing.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that.
You know why you should have been expecting it? Because that was literally the theme song to the Swamp Thing cartoon show that came out in 1990, which is a thing that exists.
Oh.
They made
I didn't know
5
this was
episodes.
cartoons. Well, that makes more sense.
Yep.
Okay. 5 episodes.
I couldn't believe it when I started watching. No.
That is unfortunate.
Yep.
Yeah. You also watched the sequel, didn't you?
Sure did.
So I'm guessing we'll talk about that later.
I even watched an episode of the 1990 USA television show.
Ooh.
And I would have watched the CW show were it available.
Yeah, isn't that the one that's got a lot of buzz? It was actually really good. It just was too expensive.
I'll be honest, from what I watched on it, it's pretty dynamite. Feel bad about not watching. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
But I guess we gotta talk about this movie first.
Yeah. So, and I guess this is your pick, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you get to give us the rundown on the plot of 1982's Swamp Thing.
Directed by Wes Craven. Swamp Thing tells a story of Alec Holland, who is trying to save the world by creating a animal-plant hybrid that can survive in any condition. But the evil Dr. Arcane wants this for himself for the power. And when he's trying to seize the formula from Alec Holland, he accidentally turns Alec into the creature known as Swamp Thing. And, yeah. Now Swamp Thing must feed him. There's the movie.
Yeah, basically stop him from getting the whatever he created.
Yeah.
I guess one thing I noticed on your description is you called him a doctor, and I did not know that Arcane was a doctor. I mean, you kind of get somewhat of the gist because of the beaker stuff in his mansion later on in the movie, but I don't remember them referring to him as a doctor.
And that might have been sequel leakage. I don't know. At some point, in one of the things that I watched, they called him Dr. Arcane.
Okay.
He seemed to know about science. He seemed to be able to recreate the formula for himself.
For sure. Yeah, this is true. All right, so I guess we're going to talk about the hero first, huh?
Yep.
I guess my first take is on the hero is what's his name? What's the actor on this one again?
Ray Wise or Dick Durock? Both of them play the same character.
Ray Wise, yeah,
Okay.
Ray Wise, the pre-Swamp Thing version of Holland. Guy had some charisma to him.
Ray Wise is very good. Always enjoy him. He's one of the best parts of Twin Peaks.
Yeah, he's. I was kind of surprised how kind of charming he was, and that he was able to really pull off a lot of the lines and a lot of what was given to him. It was kind of like, I'm upset that this is as little screen time as he gets.
Yeah, they were originally going to put him in the Swamp Thing costume too, but they realized that him and the stuntman just didn't match at all. And that the stuntman looked a little better in the suit, so they just went with the stuntman.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What a suit.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, that suit. It is looks like rubber pants. Is it rubber pants?
I don't know. It looks like rubber for sure, but it looks like a costume a lot of the time. It looks especially bad when he goes downstairs or bends, and doesn't do great in the lips moving department either. It's
yeah, and it's the more they have him talk, the worse. So no wonder that like all the screaming or animal noises that he makes
from afar
is from far away.
Yeah,
and so later on in the movie, when you get up close to him, it's like, ooh, this is unfortunate. It started to look even worse.
Well, anyway, while Ray Wise is a human, like you said, he's a big old flirt. He's quick with the smooches. People like him.
Quick wit.
Yep, he's funny. Sister likes him. His math is a little off because he was developing this animal-plant hybrid because he guessed that by 2001 we'd have 6.5 billion people on Earth. But Dummy was wrong. We only had 6.2 billion in 2001. So better luck next time, Swamp Thing.
Yeah. They called him a boy genius. He definitely did not look like a boy.
Well, in 1982's movie standards, like 35-year-old Ray Wise is probably like 10.
Yeah, I guess this is a good point.
I didn't even think to look how old he was.
Yeah, it's weird because like it's very much like the government is in on this operation. Um, there's some kind of a boogeyman out there to get it. We're shutting down this project. So many wrong things have gone in, and so they're like thinking it's a weapon, and then it turns out it's really a food thing. Although someone's going to use it as a weapon later, but it was a little hard to follow.
Yeah, no, it's all whispered and quiet and hush hush. Some agency is defending him. We don't actually ever hear that agency named, just from Washington. Yeah. By the way, I checked, and Ray Wise actually was 35 years old.
Oh wow, nailed that.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to actually care about any of these people he works with, exception of his sister.
Well,
because apparently he's run off a few people. Or the swamp did, I guess, right? Because there's like that one time where I guess one of them got attacked by a gator.
Yep.
And he's like, well, the gator was just following his natural way. I was like,
you can't blame the gator, Tim.
What?
I would nuke that swamp. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, no. Heck with swamp to gators, unnatural dinosaurs. But it's like, yeah, he was fixing the sensor for his operation. But it's like, oh, sorry, he's just doing his natural thing. It's like, he's helping you in your science, man. Like, a little empathy? Like, geez. But other than that, like, yeah, charming guy.
Like you said, he's out of this movie very quickly. We only get, 10 or so minutes with him.
Yeah, because he's not in the beginning. You get this long...
Yeah, there's a build-up to seeing him, yeah.
Yeah. And then he's got a priest there pretty quick in and out, and then you have the other guy, the stunt guy who's in the suit the whole time, and yeah, he doesn't speak a whole lot. He speaks a little bit towards the end, and again it looks terrible when he has to speak.
I think there's one scene where we actually do get Ray Wise in the costume, which is when he discovers his sister's locket and he looks at the pictures of the two of them when they were alive and human. I think that's actually Ray Wise in that close-up. Otherwise, yeah, it's Dick Durock the whole time in costume.
Yeah. That, by the way, that necklace
very big
seemed randomly planted. On who put it on that plant?
Bruno did.
Why? Was it Bruno's just a big old softie?
Yeah, Bruno's a big old softie. He's one of Arcane's henchmen. He's the number 2 henchman. And he took it from one of the guys who was raiding, picking up wallets and watches and everything. He's like, give me that back. And he put the locket on the tree, so feeling bad about the girl dying, I guess. It's weird, by the way, that we find out at the very end of the movie that Swamp Thing's formula works exactly like the Captain America MCU movie version of the formula.
I thought that was very strange.
I was like, wow, neither of these are comic accurate, but that's wild. That's a hell of a coincidence.
Yeah, and the other people...
It magnifies whatever's into you, yeah.
Yeah, and he doesn't drink it. He gets it thrown on him.
Yes, he gets it thrown on him and he gets lit on fire. We'll talk about more of that later.
Which I guess it just goes into his skin or something at that point because his sister puts her hand in that liquid and is just flicking it with her bare hand.
Yeah, good point.
Which causes the plant to grow. So I'm like, why didn't anything happen to the sister?
Great point.
Yeah.
Inconsistencies. We'll have to talk to Wes Craven's ghost about this.
Yeah. So I don't really know what else to say.
Yeah, I don't have a lot. I have one thing that made me laugh, which is, and I don't even know if it's fair to even put this in the hero part, but he was the butt of the joke, so it made me laugh. So at one point, Arcane is talking about find Swamp Thing, and he doesn't exactly keep a low profile. And there's a smash cut to Swamp Thing just screaming alone in the swamp.
Yeah,
which made me laugh. I was like, okay.
There's a lot of random, and then or just he mostly just kind of stares off and looks at people. At one point, one of the characters tries to communicate with him. Most of Swamp Thing's dialogue kind of comes more at the end.
Yeah, he remembers how to talk or something.
Yeah, because you do get that emotional, I guess, one scene where he's like trying to pick up beakers and keeps breaking them and that kind of stuff. So you get a little bit more from there. Um, but yeah, then it's just more like kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
Frankenstein. Yeah,
Yeah.
I gave 1.5 on the hero, mostly for rate wise.
Um, I think that's fair.
Okay, what did
I,
you
I
give?
was actually gonna go. I was gonna give it a two.
Really, that high?
Yeah, but as soon as you said 1.5, I'm like, I'm cool with that.
Okay.
No argument. Yeah, it's more like, hey, I like Swamp Thing. I'm a sucker, and I probably some childhood nostalgia, so I probably was way too nice to it. And then you said 1.5. I'm like, thank you for giving me permission to go lower.
It's okay. I go overboard with this next one.
Oh no, because so does that mean you're gonna go really high here?
Well, higher than I probably should. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh boy, yeah,
Anton Arcane is our villain. He's only whispered about in the beginning. He's like a building myth,
yeah,
and then we get a Mission Impossible reveal. He's been there the
yes,
whole time.
the whole time, and we don't. He's referenced as the boogeyman at one point.
Yeah.
I don't know who this person is. Like
Who?
I feel like Arcane. He's never really explained.
No, they just say like he's a bad guy. He's been after the formula, and that's all we know about him.
But like, we don't even know what it really is until later. So it doesn't seem like he even knew what they were doing at first. But he's really interested in what they're doing for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't
He
get it either.
randomly lives in a mansion in the swamp,
Sure does.
which is super bizarre.
Yep.
Maybe he's just renting it because he just wants to be in the area. I don't know. I guess he's got some wealth background. It's just super weird. Because all of a sudden he's like, oh, I guess he traveled to his mansion. That was really fast. And then all of a sudden he's back in a limo outside the swamp. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Does he live in the swamp? And then kind of later you see him walking out to the back of his mansion. It's like, oh yeah, he really is in the swamp. This random mansion in the
It would have
swamp.
been nice if there was some kind of backstory or at least an explanation for how long Arcane had been posing as Ritter, this other
Right.
who was the head of security. That how does he know all about Holland's research and all this stuff, and why does he care so much? But, yeah, you're right. But we just
Yeah.
go with it because and I don't care because it's cool.
I guess. I don't know. Because the whole time I'm like, why? What? Who is this person? Like, I just kept doing that the entire time watching, basically. It was distracting
He
to me.
is so cool and classy throughout this whole movie, and it is like not surprising he became a Bond villain like the very next year. They're like, yes, that guy.
Yeah. No, I mean he's not. He's definitely not bad, and I think he delivers a lot of good lines and such. Him just even talking to his like henchwoman and being like, I'm too excited, I can't sleep, and and the world's gonna bow to me or
And you're referring
starve.
to that secretary, by the way, that is Mimi Craven. That is Wes Craven's wife at the time.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
He's smart enough to read the journals and understand that there's a seventh notebook and all that kind of stuff.
And in
But
that scene where he's at the drill, he's got these giant glasses on. He looks like Uncle Junior from The Sopranos. It's like, why'd you do this to this man? That's not all right.
where do you think this swamp is? Because sometimes they make it sound like it's pretty close to Washington. And I'm like, I know DC's basically a swamp, but what?
If there's a swamp in a movie and it takes place in America and there are gators, I just automatically assume it's either Louisiana or Florida.
Yeah. But there's a few lines where it made it sound like it's pretty close, like almost spitting distance to DC, which is so I was a little thrown by that.
Arcane is the one who named Swamp Thing.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
want this swamp thing. And I
Yeah.
want that notebook. And my favorite line from him: "A strong adversary is like a beautiful and dangerous woman. I've never been able to resist either."
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, that's cool, man. He's got
Yeah.
these two henchmen with him. You got Ferret, who keeps a poisonous snake in his pocket in the beginning of the movie.
Yes. What is this? How is that pocket just containing this snake?
I don't know.
And he could just stuff his hand in his pocket and be like, "Hey, snake," and then, "Hey, snake, bite now," like a pet.
It's pretty freaking wild.
It is insane.
As someone who really hates snakes, I was like, nope, no way.
Well, yeah, you got gators and snakes in this movie. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, and then we got Bruno, like we already mentioned, who's the sweet number two
Right. The
henchman.
bigger guy.
Yep. He's also a little dumb. We get him saying the men are calling it some kind of abdominal snowman or something,
Yeah.
which made me laugh. I'm a sucker.
Yeah. At one point, he like his men are talking to him like, why do we keep going in after this thing, and why kill ourselves over this? And he's like, because it's immortality. And it's like, wait a minute, it is? What? I thought it was like a food thing. Now it's an immortality thing randomly.
That's
What?
power. That's
I
power.
guess. And then he goes out in the swamp in his swamp yacht.
Yep.
Swamp yacht.
Mm.
And he's randomly shirtless for one
Yes.
scene.
Well, it's hot.
I guess. All of a sudden, just smash cuts. Can we talk about the transitions?
I love them so much.
Do you?
I love them so
They
much.
were wow.
The comic book transitions just from scene to scene, I think they're so cool.
I mean, I don't even recall them comic book. Sometimes it's like Kirk dropping transitions. Sometimes it's swipe cuts or transitions. Sometimes it's a blow explosion star transition.
Yeah, well, it's all made to look like a comic book.
I don't remember transitions like that in comic books, but okay.
Well, it's supposed to be the idea of turning a page and stuff like that. That's the feeling you're supposed to get. And I think it's cool. It's one of the things I really like about the movie.
Is it what you liked about Ang Lee's Incredible Hulk as well?
I made that note. Yes, in fact, I did like it then.
Ugh.
Anyway, I gave Arcane a 3.5. I like Arcane.
Wow.
He's a fun villain.
I guess. I don't know. I liked him, but
Yeah, well,
I thought it
really
was all over the place. We didn't really get to know a whole lot
Well, so I'm not
about
giving
him.
4 or 5.
And then, I mean, I guess it's going to get more into action, but he eventually takes that dose, and
Turns into a hairy pigman.
oh, it looks awful.
Yes, it does.
I mean,
We'll talk about more of that later.
Yeah, I was complaining about the Swamp Thing outfit, and then we see what he turns into, and the suit.
I'm not going to blame Louis Jourdan on that.
Well, no, but I think it all kind of goes into the villain category, and his whole whatever plan, and not really being in the dark about it, not really know what the heck is going on. I actually gave him a 1.
No, absolutely not. You are not doing that to Louis Jourdan.
I mean, I could go up because I went down on Hero there a little bit, but I still think 3 is like crazy
3.5
high.
is what I gave him.
3.5 is kind of insane
Because
to me.
he's the best part of this movie. Well, no, he's the second best part of this movie. I'll go my best part later on. But he's very entertaining throughout, and I enjoy him. Enjoy the hell out of him. And he's a competent villain.
I guess. All of a sudden he's like, he just jumps to random things and conclusions. It never really makes any sense. Like
He's very smart. You just have to give it at that.
I guess, yeah, he's calling himself a genius. Like he's like, he's smart. He's anticipating our moves. I'm like, did Swamp Thing anticipate moves? Because it seems pretty random to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
This is where it led to my favorite line, right? It's just the adversary, beautiful woman thing.
Yeah, expose our queen or something, and they just understood what he was talking about. I'm like, what?
Well, that's go after Cable. But yeah, I liked it. It worked for me.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he's like, okay. After he tells him that, he's like, okay, we go home now. Why? Why are you going home now? Like he haven't accomplished anything yet. He just assumes his men will.
They were faking out Swamp Thing. That's why they wanted.
I guess, and his men are like dumb and incompetent the entire time. Besides the snake death, I guess.
They accomplish everything. They win, technically. They just didn't realize what was going to exactly happen.
I guess. I am not able to go in a 3 territory.
Oh, you should, because I'm right.
Just can't do it. Just can't. Like if I could go up from 1, but I could not go into the 3 area.
You can, I promise you.
I can't. I will not budge. It is not good. That is nuts to be that high. I think.
Oh,
I think you're just a little biased because of your Bond connection here.
I don't even like Octopussy,
I know it's the worst.
but I love Louis Jourdain. He's the best part
Uh,
about Octopussy too.
Gets to interact with Swamp Thing like later on. Like he doesn't really have
He's sitting in this
much.
chair, looking all cool, telling him like and slick. Why didn't it work for Bruno, but it worked for you?
I am curious too. Why didn't Bruno realize that his cup was liquid bright green? But
Did you
I guess
notice
you
they
don't
didn't give
notice.
everyone else had wine glasses and Bruno
Yeah,
had like a little silver chalice so he couldn't look at it?
which is the same type of cup that Arcane drinks out of later too. So it's like
Yeah.
this is the cups for drinking the medicine or drinking
Yes.
the formula.
Well, according to his talk with Swamp Thing, it worked perfectly on Bruno. It just made whatever was inside you more. So he
Right.
thought he was going to become God. Whoops.
Right.
He went Red Skull, except to Harry Pigman.
Yeah.
But he got a cool sword. No,
Very
not a cool sword.
unfortunate.
He got a sword.
So do we want to come back to
I
the
guess
score then?
because I still didn't give this a very high score of a movie. In fact, this next score is the lowest one I have.
See, this is where I go higher.
No.
Yeah.
Go
I
on.
do. There was a couple of stunts and things that I liked and I appreciate. Like when Holland goes on fire,
Yeah,
that
yep,
is the
yep.
most on fire
Yep.
person I have ever seen in any movie
He's
ever.
on fire for a very long time.
And he is engulfed.
It's a
in
long
flame.
run.
Yeah.
Apparently, the stunt guy, this guy, is like obsessed with this. I'm sorry I didn't write down his name, but like he has like a pool that he constantly lights himself on fire and throws himself in the pool to see what's the best concoctions. So this is all he does is light himself on fire for movies.
Wow.
And this is a hell of a stunt.
Oh yeah, it is. Again, I cannot emphasize this enough, audience. Engulfed in flame. Like I thought the on fire stunt in Sound Rage was pretty awesome, and then I saw this one. I was like, whoa, they outdid Sound Rage because this. I was just so impressed by the flame going on there.
And this is also the last time I say, "Whoa, that's cool," while watching the whole movie.
I don't know. I really appreciated Andre Barbeau and her kind of being a badass
Yeah,
and
no.
being able to throw a punch and making it believable. A lot of the Swamp Thing stuff is kind of lame, but there was still a boat ramp thing that was kind of neat.
The henchman got good air on it. I wrote that one down.
Yeah,
But
so that was kind of fun. Yeah,
it all looks so cheap and terrible.
a lot of it is just like, where is he? And then he's like, I'm here, kind of deal. He pops them and drags them into the water or drags them into
Yeah, a lot of
some
throwing
brush.
guys around.
Yeah, a lot of throwing guys around for sure. There's like one where they try to pull off with the car hit Swamp Thing.
It looks so bad.
It doesn't look good. I do appreciate when his arm gets chopped off. That was fun. I also enjoyed later on when his arm is growing back and it's this tiny hand.
I don't even know which one I wrote this down on. Oh, I do write down an action. Baby Swamp Thing arm makes me giggle.
Yeah, exactly. It makes me think of what is it, Scary Movie 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, take my hand, child. No, that's my good one. No.
Chris Elliott, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there was grenade explosions. So explosions are fun.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to bring this up. I'm going to generously assume that one fan boat running into the other fan boat only caused an explosion because one of the boats was carrying grenades.
Probably, because there's a lot of grenades being thrown. Because there's like
really.
There's like a 5-minute scene of like a
tossing
grenade
grenades, yeah.
exploding behind Swamp Thing and Swamp Thing going, ugh. But explosions, I like explosions. I've mentioned a lot of explosions in a lot of our episodes, so I'm a sucker for a good explosion.
Yeah,
And this
that's the
movie
only
had some good
explosion
ones.
in the movie, and it's not that good.
No, there's a few of them.
I don't think so. I think it's just
The worst is probably the final fight.
Ugh.
Is real bad.
We don't want to talk about Swamp Thing crushing Ferret's head, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
really weird for a PG movie.
It is.
Although it's 82, so we don't get into PG-13 yet. But
I've seen that done a lot cooler, but yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
appreciate
only
it.
blood we see in this movie.
Yeah.
which is weird. But yeah, the final fight. Why did they make that in daylight? Why would they do that?
Well, that's my biggest problem with this whole movie. Why is the majority of this movie in daytime?
I think they just didn't have the money.
They did
It's
them.
so
Maybe
cheap.
it's like, do you really want to film in the swamp at night? Because I
I
do.
think it's like we can't light this at night. We don't have
Yeah.
the money to do this.
Because that's the biggest problem. I think you could have covered up so much if you just had nighttime shooting because
Or done
that's
it on
that's
set.
yeah, because it's the extreme daylight that makes a lot of this stuff look cheap and not good.
Yeah. The only thing I want to mention too, the only thing that I think is good is the Bruno's transformation, which is just as unsettling as I remember growing up.
Yeah,
This is unpleasant. He just really
because he's really
screams a lot.
screaming. Yeah,
Yep. Yeah, it's not good.
and he's making some weird noises to go along with it.
It's weird that his
Um,
clothes shrink too.
it's super weird, and it's also weird. Like I know he's not happy with his boss throwing him in a dungeon after that and turning him into this thing, but he definitely turns fast. But he seems to be happy-go-lucky in this new form. He's like, "Ha!" and he's like rolling into the beast and like, okay, he's kind of settled into this new form well.
Yeah, I gave this a 1. This is
Um, yeah, this is weird. This is kind of where I went 3.
no,
Yeah, I went 3 on it.
no.
I
That's
again,
insane.
I liked again Barbeau throwing punches and kicking guys in the groin. I liked the explosions. I liked the dude on fire was so cool. I don't know, that was really impressive to me. How on fire he really was. I mean, your best argument against me is like monster pig man arcane with
Harry
the
Pigman,
sword, and he's just chopping at the water. And I swear it goes on for like a full minute of him just chopping water. It's like, oh, this is unfortunate.
No, and it's oh god, it doesn't end soon enough and doesn't last that long. It's like oh god.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, I liked when Swamp Thing like pulled the tree stump thing out of the ground and used that as a
Yeah,
club.
this is
Like,
interesting.
that
We
was
might
cool.
actually land on the same final score.
Yeah, we're just kind of reversing where we're putting things.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll get to my favorites category now, even though I didn't give it the highest score. Mentor sidekick. We got the
This
two
is tied
sidekicks in
for
this movie.
this highest score for me.
Yes. So we got Alice Cable, played by Adrienne Barbeau.
Yeah.
She was a no-nonsense agent. We never find out what agent she works for.
No, I guess she's just a tech person though.
And like you said, she holds her own and kicks some
Yeah.
ass. And
She does.
She's
She's
eventually
badass.
overwhelmed by sheer numbers of
Yeah.
Arcane's men.
There's only so much you can do as a single person, and she's not like a soldier type person. You know, she's not like going to be one person against an army. But if there's like her against one person, she could hold her own. You know,
Yeah.
she's takes several guys down in that kind of situation. She never panics. She's never like at that much of a damsel in distress. Really,
Really, never. No.
yeah.
She's got a plan wherever she's going and being smart about it.
Yeah,
I really like
exactly.
too in the beginning with when Holland is flirting with her and she assumes that
The sister's the wife.
exactly. He's
Yeah.
like, he's like, stop it. And when the look on her face when she realizes that's his sister, thumbs up. I enjoyed that acting from Barbeau.
Yeah, or when they ask her to go check out the sensor, like me in the swamp to check Sector 3,
Yeah.
like it was just well delivered. Like I thought she was great in this movie.
Except for this one part where she's yelling at Swamp Thing, "You thrive on the light!" when they're
Yeah.
in jail, and I'm like, when was that documented? Are we just
It's
assuming because he's a plant
yeah.
person that he thrives on the light? This is
It's also weird that this is coming from the technology expert and not from the dude who studies, agriculture and plants and everything.
yeah. But the real MVP of this movie is my dude Jude.
Jude.
Yes, Tim.
Jude is my man. I
Yes.
several times I'm like, I like this kid. And there was one time where he gets hit in the back of the head. I was like, he better not be dead. I'll be upset with this movie if Jude is gone.
I really wrote down Jude. No. He has all the best lines in this movie,
Yes,
which is
he
really
does.
saying something.
Here comes trouble. Like,
that's the-
he nails the lines.
it's this very deadpan delivery every time, and it works every time.
Yeah.
He's like, and he was like a kid just from the area that Wes Craven hired,
Yeah.
and probably
One of my favorites is where she's like in his shop and she's like scrounging for stuff. And she's like, "Does anything work in this place?" And he
just me.
goes, "Just me." It's so good.
Yeah, but you can meet him. He's just sitting outside this gas station, like you said, with a Coke and a fly swatter, and he's
Yeah.
watching Cable like fight with his phone, and he's like, "Uh oh, here comes trouble," like you said.
Yeah.
And then that line, and then later on, when Arcane's men come out there, they're shooting up the place. Cable's like, "Is there a gun in this place?" He's like, "What kind of place do you think this is?" Of course, there's a gun.
But it explodes on her.
Yeah, one shot and it blows
one
up.
One shot. And he apparently knows where there's a trapper's cabin and takes her
before
to
that. When he they get separated for a bit because she runs away.
Yeah.
To draw the fire away, and that's where Swamp Thing intervenes and saves her, stops the truck in a very unimpressive way, and just throws people away. Then Jude pops up afterwards, and she's like, "It hit a tree," and he's like, "Must have been one of those hit and run kind of trees." There's no tree there.
That's another great line from Jude.
Yeah.
And again, completely pulls it off.
Every time.
Yeah.
And then eventually, like you said, Swamp Thing saves Jude from death.
Yep.
With his special healing power, which he realizes he has, I guess, in that moment. And Jude gets one look at him. His first good look at him is just, oh shit, there goes the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I love you, Jude. And then Jude pretty much disappears from the movie, and the movie
he's
isn't
given
as
the
good.
journal to go run off with it.
Yeah,
basically.
and the movie suffers from lack of Jude.
Yeah, there is a point too where like he's like, "Come here, I know where a trapper's place is," and then next scene they're changed clothes and boat.
I caught that. I'm like, I gave it away. I let it go. I was like, why did they get clothes? I guess they got it this cabin we didn't see. Like, I'll let it go. It's nice they had clothes in her size, but all right.
Sure, yeah. But she likes to be clean, I guess. So she has to take random baths in the swamp.
Yeah, that only happened in the European cut. I didn't want to put this in this category, but yeah, it's...
Is it only the European cut in that one? Okay.
We did not see this growing up. This was not in the scene when we watched
Sex
this movie.
sells, I guess.
Yeah, Wes Craven found it despicable that he had to shoot this, but the producers demanded it. And it's just jarring. This is not really what I watched growing up. But I enjoyed the nudity, thank you. But this is weird.
Oh, for sure. Very nice boobs, but it is super random. Like all this, they're like laying together.
It's so gratuitous and nonsense.
Yeah, because it really is like just full, like just her standing waist deep in water. So it's really just her face and her chest that you're seeing. You're just seeing her like put water on her arms and stuff. Basically, It's just like there is no reason besides this, because literally this is pretty close after she has a change of clothes. It was at the trapper's place, so there's not even a reason for her to be needing to be washed. Why is she doing it in the swamp? And then you have a cutaway of Swamp Thing basically staring at her as she's doing this, which is also adding to the creep factor.
Well, in the original version, the ones we grew up with, we see her, but we don't see her topless. She's just in the... But it's a scene to show us Swamp Thing being sad that he's not human anymore. And that's all you need to see. But the prolonged look of her naked is just like, what? And then there's this another scene, too, like at Arcane's house after the victory party, where there's a bunch of, random naked women. Like, yeah, this is also not in the movie that I watched growing up.
Yeah, it was like strippers or something. It was quite a party, a victory party, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it was so nice that they left the spot for the right-hand man henchman who dies from Swamp Thing. They put his best gun or whatever on his spot. They kept his seat. How nice!
It's very sweet. Arcane's a good guy.
I guess so.
Yeah, that's all I got to say about Sidekicks. I gave it a 3.
I gave it a 3 too.
So I got a final score of 9. You came with 8.5, or what'd you find?
I know. I actually had 9.
Okay, well there you go.
Yeah.
So we
just moved around where we scored stuff, but I also had a 9.
Yeah.
Although I guess because you made me go down in Hero, it might be 8.5 technically.
You can go back to your original and we'll just say it's 9. There you go.
Yeah, I had it at 9.
Did you notice the score in this movie, by the way?
Yes, that it sounded a lot like Friday the 13th.
Did you see why it sounded like a lot like Friday the 13th?
No.
It's because it's it's Harry Manfredini who did the Friday 13th score.
Well, that explains a lot. It's actually one of my first like things I say. It's like this sounds really familiar. What's going on here?
It's literally like all we're missing is the. That's it.
Yeah,
It's all there though. Everything else is Friday 13th. Like, wow, this is blatant, man.
yeah.
Like I
It's
appreciate
pretty
that
close.
Craven was trying to sort of stick to his horror roots by bringing in a horror score and everything, but
Yeah.
it's
It
so
would have been
weird.
better if they tried to go more horror too. I mean, especially the way they started off, right, in an unmapped swamp,
Yeah.
and there's like some weird random line too about savage dreams or something. It's like
Hmm.
okay, an unmapped swamp in DC, what? Another argument, or not the argument, debate, I guess we're going to have to do since we're going with a 9 for Swamp Thing is that's the same score as Beastmaster. So
I'd
what's
put
going
it just
over?
under Beastmaster. I had a little more fun with Beastmaster than this
Okay, that's fair.
movie. Okay.
I'm not going to argue it.
All right. So this movie had a budget of $3 million, which is a little over $9.3 million today, and a worldwide gross of, I don't know.
You don't know?
I searched high and low for like 10 minutes. It has been scrubbed from the internet what this movie made, but it was a
It's
bomb.
So weird.
It was a big bomb, and Craven
But
thought
yet it spurred more stuff.
I'll get into that.
Okay.
It killed Craven's career at the time. He had to sell his
wow.
house. His
Whoa.
wife divorced him.
Whoa. The one that was in the movie?
Yeah,
Whoa.
and then he made Nightmare on Elm Street after this.
No joke. Wow.
He didn't think he was ever going to work again after this movie. It bombed so badly.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
right?
I had no idea. Okay, wow. Good for him. Good for him. Makes me appreciate Nightmare even more now.
Yeah. And then in 1989, we got the return of Swamp Thing, with the return of Anton Arcade, played by Luis Jordan.
How does that work? Do they explain that one?
We got one line of dialogue.
Okay.
It just says like a couple of scientists say like, we found your stepfather in the swamp and we slowly brought him back. He was bubbles. At the end of this. He
There was like
disintegrated.
brown liquid stuff
Yeah.
coming out of him.
Yeah, yeah. But they say like whatever they did to restore him is making him. He's going to die soon, and so they're searching once again for some kind of fountain of youth, which they need Swamp Thing and Heather Locklear to bring him back. Who's playing his stepdaughter?
Okay.
Yeah, that movie is from. Who's the guy directing it? Is the guy who wrote Sorceress, by the way.
Good boy.
And it's definitely going for more of a satire comedy thing.
Well, the
And-
makeup on Swamp Thing looked a little better.
The makeup is a lot better.
Yeah.
And that is the only thing that's better.
Oof.
It's never funny. Like this movie, the original Swamp Thing, 82, Wes Craven, is way funnier than the one that actually tried to be funny.
Ugh.
But that movie made like less than $250,000.
Wow.
And it was
Yeah,
like,
it still got TV stuff after that.
yeah, we got an USA TV show which lasted 3 seasons, and it was shot at Universal Studios Orlando. And you can actually see rides in the backgrounds of some shots. And like
Wow.
I'm seeing them like they're literally shooting on the lot. Like I've been to Universal Studios. Like I know exactly where you were. I know what restaurant that is and everything like that. It's wow, this is so weird.
It's
And-
amazing for how much it has bombed and
Yeah.
continues to
Every
get put
time.
out.
And then a cartoon, like I said, which only lasted 5 episodes. And then like that 2020 series, which I think mostly got canned because of the pandemic. Because it was canceled after like the second episode aired or before the second episode aired or something.
I thought there was something about it being too expensive or something.
I'm sure you're right too. That's part of it, but then that and the pandemic just
Like, especially because I think it lost some of its tax exemption stuff or something.
You're right. I remember reading about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it looked cool from what I could see.
That's what I
from
heard.
clips.
I heard really good stuff.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a bummer. Did you read a lot of Swamp Thing like comics
None.
and stuff? Okay, I
Absolutely
haven't
zero.
either.
Everything I know about Swamp Thing comes from these movies.
Yeah.
And like I know a couple things. I know eventually you find out in the comic books that Swamp Thing is not actually Alec Holland. Alec Holland died. It's the swamp came to life and absorbed his memories or something like that.
Huh.
Yeah, no, it gets really weird. It's Alan Moore and Grant Morrison, and it gets trippy as hell.
That's what. Yeah, I remember hearing some weird stuff about it. What's the difference between Swamp Thing and Man Thing?
Man Thing is Marvel.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Uh,
And Man
uh,
Thing's the one that was in Werewolf by Night, right?
yes, yes. Man
Okay.
Thing is like never talks and can like teleport between universes and stuff, but serve more or less the same basic function in their universes.
Okay.
Protector of this area.
Fair enough.
You know,
Okay.
Swamp Thing protects the green.
I really enjoyed Swamp Thing in Harley
Har-
Quinn.
yes,
Yeah,
Sam Richardson doing the voice. Very good stuff.
that was fun.
Yep,
That show's always fun. It's never a bad time.
always is. And that's it for Swamp Thing, man. I got nothing else to say about this movie. This is our shortest episode yet.
Well, hey, we've done some long ones lately, so I think we could have some short ones. But you're right. There's not a whole lot to say because it's very in between. Like there's never like a lot of bad to be bashing it on, and there's never like a lot of good either. So it's just like, eh.
Like I said, this movie is filled with good intentions and not enough money.
Yeah.
So you're just like, oh, well, ah. It's like,
Even if they just had enough money just to film at night, would have made this movie so much better. Just that alone.
yep.
Yeah. Because the whole time it's like, why is this in the daylight? Oh.
They had no money. And I'm thinking that $3 million most of must have gone to Louis Jourdain to be in this movie.
Yeah. Probably. And it's, man, so much of the costumes and everything, you could even get creepier and have even more of a horror feel to it if you could have done it at night. Like when all the soldiers are all scared because of Swamp Thing taking them out one by one, right? That would have automatically been better and more pulled off if it was at night.
Yeah.
But no. Well, all right, that's it. 9 and safely there below Beastmaster, so it's currently in the top 10, but pretty close to already being out.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you ready for my pick?
I can't wait.
All right, so I am going with 1990, The Bronx Warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which we weren't sure whether we were going to put on our list or not, right? Because it's like foreign but had a U.S. release or something. I forgot.
It's
what it was,
Italian made, but it did get a U.S. release, and it's mostly
it's
English
mostly
actors.
U.S., right? Yeah.
Yeah. All right, 1990, The Bronx Warriors. It's on Full
Yeah.
Moon.
Well, yeah, whatever. I'll have to find that one. In a post-apocalyptic New York City, a policeman infiltrates the Bronx, which has become a battleground for several murderous street gangs. It's interesting. There was quite several movies that had this basic premise. Post-apocalyptic hellscape, a lot of gangs. Fred Williamson again.
Yep. Let's see. Oh, you can watch the whole thing on YouTube as well.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so you don't even need to go and get yourself a
Full Moon.
temporary subscription from Full Moon. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super weird. When does The Warriors come out?
Came out before 1982.
Before.
Yeah, because remember
I
in
can
48
do this.
hours.
See what I did there?
Yes, I did. But you remember the guy from 48 Hours who was
Yes,
in The
that's
Warriors. So
right.
it was like he
It was in
popped
The
up
Warriors,
again.
and yep.
Yep.
Good recall. Yep. Okay. So, and then what's the Snake Plissken? Escape from New York.
Escape from
that
New York?
came out already too, right? 81.
Okay, yeah.
So we're just in a really hopping time
Yes.
for hellscape New York and gangs galore and such.
Everyone is scared of crime, specifically in New York City for some reason.
Yeah. So all right, I mean, sure. Hopefully it's fun. I don't know. We'll see. That is it for us. Please show your support for the podcast by leaving a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, or wherever you happen to listen to the show. Also, sharing is caring. Be sure to follow us on social media to get the latest show updates. You can contact us by emailing at filmbrochamp@gmail.com or find us by searching for the hashtag FilmBroChamp. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Film Bros Championship Podcast. Peace out, everyone.
See you later.